This is my twist on my family favorite birthday cake, coconut cake. I'm going to start with the sponge cake first. I have 4 eggs here, zero the scale, and measure sugar, 1/3 of a cup or 70 grams. I am using regular sugar, but if you want to use a sugar substitute, you can. Zero the scale and measure flour, half a cup or 30 grams. Let's cream the eggs and sugar. Whisk them at high speed. I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract and continue whisking until it becomes thick and foaming. Just like this. Add 1 teaspoon of baking powder to the flour and sift it a bit at a time. I am going to continue sifting and folding the flour into the eggs. The goal here is not to deflate the eggs. This is a very light cake. Even when using regular sugar, it is still a low-calorie dessert option. And there's a lot you can do with this sponge cake. I have a couple of ideas planned for the future videos. So now the cake batter is done. I'm going to transfer it to a 9-inch spring-form baking pan. I like to cover the bottom with parchment paper for easy removal later. Bang it a few times over the counter and put it in the preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 40 minutes or so. Remove it from the oven and let it cool completely. My inspiration comes from a frosting recipe that calls for heavy whipping cream and mascarpone cheese, two very high-fat ingredients and no protein. So I will replace the mascarpone cheese with 1 pound, that's about 450 grams, of 5% fat Greek yogurt. I use Fayet, it's just the best tasting for me. To strengthen the frosting, I will add gelatin. For that, we will need 7 grams or 2.5 teaspoons of gelatin. And add boiling water, about 45 grams of it to be exact. Stir right away and continue stirring while it is hot until gelatin dissolves completely. Next, I need to whip some cream, 8 ounces of it, 225 grams. To sweeten it, I am going to use 70 grams or 2.5 ounces powdered sugar. 0-calorie sweetener can be used as well. I need to make the yogurt nice and smooth before I start adding ingredients to it. I need 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, or to make it more coconut flavor-like, you can use coconut extract if you have handy. The gelatin cooled down slightly. You cannot wait until it is completely cooled because it will start setting, but you don't want to add it when it's very hot as well. So it has to be that medium warmth of it. Whip the cream so everything is ready at the same time. And this is a good consistency. Sweet enough. Add gelatin very slowly by just dripping it into yogurt and continue stirring. The process is much easier when you have someone holding the bowl. Fold the whipped cream in. And I'm using unsweetened coconut flakes to achieve coconut flavor. Sometimes I put them in the cake batter as well. So if you want a maximum coconut flavor, go ahead and add some coconut flakes into your batter before you bake it. I am adding about 40 grams of coconut flakes. That's 2/3 of a cup. You can add more or less. They are high in fat, so they have lots of calories. Make sure you measure and know how much you consume. The consistency is pretty good at this point, so I will only put it in the fridge for 30 minutes. You want to make sure it doesn't set or you won't be able to spread it over the cake. The cake is already cooled. Now it is time to remove it from the spring form Make sure it doesn't stick on the sides before you open the pan. And this is how it looks. If you prefer higher cake, either double the recipe or use a smaller pan. Now I need to cut it in half as evenly as possible. I am going to prepare a little concoction that I will soak the cake with. Punch or of sorts. It is important to soak the cake to get it moist. Alcohol is optional. I have here coconut rum, Malibu. You can use plain rum or any other liquor you like, or just skip it. In this little glass, I put about 45 grams of water, about 28 grams, that's 1 ounce of Malibu liquor, and this is coconut milk. I messed up a bit. I forgot to refrigerate it before using it, so it is not so nice and thick. Make sure to put the coconut milk in the fridge a day before you will use it. This is another high-calorie ingredient, so I will add only about 35 grams, a little bit over an ounce. Half of the liquid I will use on this half and then the other one on the top layer. This makes a difference. The cake is moist and delicious. The frosting looks good, got a bit thicker but still easy to spread. Start from the middle and push the frosting to the edge, pressing very lightly. I am not a professional baker, so I am experimenting here, of course. Cover with top layer, and now I forgot to put the rest of my punch. But this is exactly where you're gonna put it before adding the rest of the frosting. This is not going to be the best looking cake, but I will try my best. If you bake and decorate cakes, it must be terrifying to watch this. Sprinkle some coconut flakes and put it in the fridge for the frosting to set completely. Couple of hours, and this is what we got. I can't wait to dig in. I think it is better than the coconut cake recipe I used to bake that had 4 sticks of butter and tons of cream cheese. This is much lighter. Between the cake and the frosting, it has 80 grams of protein and almost 3,000 calories for the whole cake. So if you divide the cake in 10 pieces, you get 300 calories per slice and 8 grams of protein. Not too bad for a decadent dessert and a birthday cake. Let me know what you think. Absolutely delicious. Light and airy, so good. For more light dessert ideas, check out these videos, and there is where I'm going to see you next.